Tim Urban's widely acclaimed TED Talk presents a compelling yet oversimplified framework for understanding procrastination through his metaphorical trio of characters: the rational decision maker, the instant gratification monkey, and the panic monster. While Urban's presentation succeeds in making procrastination relatable and digestible for mass consumption, a critical examination reveals both significant insights and problematic oversights that warrant deeper scrutiny. Urban's central premise that procrastinators possess an instant gratification monkey that hijacks rational decision-making resonates strongly with average people's daily experiences. Most individuals can immediately recognize the phenomenon he describes, sitting down to work on an important project only to find themselves 3 hours deep into YouTube videos or Wikipedia rabbit holes. This experiential validity represents one of Urban's greatest strengths. His metaphorical framework provides accessible language for a universal human struggle, transforming abstract psychological concepts into concrete, memorable characters that people can visualize and understand. However, Urban's model fundamentally misrepresents the complexity of procrastination by reducing it to a simple battle between rational thought and instant gratification. Current psychological research demonstrates that procrastination stems from multiple interconnected factors, including perfectionism, anxiety, depression, ADHD, and various emotional regulation difficulties. By presenting procrastination as merely a failure of self-control, Urban inadvertently perpetuates harmful misconceptions that can lead to increased self-blame and shame among those who struggle with chronic procrastination. The concept of the panic monster that appears when deadlines approach contains both truth and dangerous oversimplification. Urban correctly identifies that external pressure often motivates procrastinators to finally take action. Many people do indeed experience a surge of productivity when facing imminent deadlines, validating this aspect of his model. However, Urban fails to acknowledge that this panic-driven productivity often produces suboptimal results and takes a severe toll on mental and physical health. The chronic stress cycle he describes as functional actually represents a maladaptive pattern that can lead to burnout, anxiety disorders, and various health complications. Urban's discussion of deadlines reveals another significant flaw in his analysis. He suggests that procrastination works reasonably well when deadlines exist because the panic monster eventually appears to save the day. This perspective dangerously normalizes a dysfunctional approach to time management and productivity. Research consistently shows that last-minute work, while sometimes adequate, rarely represents optimal performance. Moreover, the stress hormones released during panic-driven work sessions accumulate over time, contributing to long-term health problems that Urban's framework completely ignores. The most profound oversight in Urban's talk concerns his treatment of procrastination without deadlines, which he briefly mentions but fails to adequately address. He correctly identifies this as more problematic than deadline-driven procrastination, noting that important life goals often lack external deadlines. However, his analysis remains superficial, offering little practical guidance for addressing this more serious form of procrastination. This represents a critical gap because deadline-free procrastination often involves the most meaningful aspects of human life: relationships, health, personal growth, and creative pursuits. Urban's metaphorical approach, while engaging, obscures the reality that procrastination frequently serves as a maladaptive coping mechanism for underlying emotional issues. Many chronic procrastinators struggle with perfectionism, using delay as protection against potential failure or criticism. Others procrastinate due to executive function deficits, anxiety disorders, or depression. By framing procrastination as simply a battle between competing brain systems, Urban misses these deeper psychological roots and inadvertently suggests that willpower alone should suffice to overcome the problem. The talk's emphasis on individual responsibility, while containing element of truth, fails to acknowledge systemic and environmental factors that contribute to procrastination. Modern life's constant digital distractions, unrealistic productivity expectations, and social media's instant gratification culture create conditions that make sustained focus increasingly difficult. Urban's framework implies that procrastination is primarily a personal failing rather than recognizing how contemporary society actively undermines the cognitive resources necessary for sustained attention and delayed gratification. From a neuroscientific perspective, Urban's model oversimplifies complex brain processes. While he correctly identifies a conflict between immediate rewards and long-term goals, He presents this as a binary struggle between two discrete systems. Actual research reveals that procrastination involves intricate interactions between multiple brain networks, including the prefrontal cortex, limbic system, and reward pathways. The reality is far more nuanced than Urban's cartoonish metaphor suggests, involving factors like dopamine regulation, executive function, and emotional processing that his framework cannot accommodate. Urban's solution-oriented thinking remains disappointingly shallow throughout the talk. Beyond acknowledging that procrastination without deadlines is problematic, he offers minimal practical strategies for change. His life calendar visualization, while potentially motivating, represents more of a wake-up call than a sustainable intervention. Effective procrastination management typically requires developing specific skills, including time estimation, emotional regulation, task breakdown, and self-compassion practices that Urban's framework does not address. Despite these significant limitations, Urban's talk succeeds in several important ways that explain its widespread appeal and continued relevance. His humor and self-deprecating honesty create a safe space for people to examine their own procrastination without feeling judged or pathologized. This emotional accessibility represents a crucial first step for many individuals who have struggled with shame and self-criticism related to their procrastination habits. The metaphorical framework, while scientifically imprecise, provides valuable emotional distance that can help people observe their own behavior patterns more objectively. Many viewers report that recognizing their instant gratification monkey in action creates a moment of metacognitive awareness that can interrupt automatic procrastination cycles. This psychological distancing effect represents a genuinely useful therapeutic technique, even if Urban applies it somewhat crudely. Urban's emphasis on the ubiquity of procrastination serves an important normalization function that can reduce isolation and self-criticism among chronic procrastinators. By sharing his own struggles with humor and vulnerability, he helps viewers recognize that procrastination is a common human experience rather than a personal character flaw. This perspective shift, while not sufficient for overcoming procrastination, creates emotional conditions more conducive to positive change. The talk's accessibility and viral spread have undoubtedly introduced millions of people to concepts of metacognition, behavioral awareness, and intentional decision-making. While Urban's treatment remains superficial, many viewers likely pursue deeper learning about productivity, psychology, and behavior change as a result of encountering his ideas. In this sense, the talk functions effectively as a gateway introduction to more sophisticated approaches to procrastination management. However, the popularity of Urban's oversimplified model raises concerning questions about our collective appetite for complex psychological insight. The enthusiastic reception of his metaphorical framework suggests that audiences prefer entertaining explanations over nuanced understanding, even when addressing serious behavioral challenges that significantly impact quality of life. This preference for simplification over accuracy may actually impede progress toward more effective procrastination interventions. Urban's framework also reflects broader cultural tendencies to individualize systemic problems. By focusing exclusively on internal mental processes, his analysis ignores environmental, social, and structural factors that contribute to procrastination. This individualistic bias reinforces the problematic notion that people struggling with procrastination simply need more self-discipline rather than addressing the contextual factors that make sustained focus increasingly difficult in contemporary society. The gendered and class implications of Urban's analysis deserve critical attention as well. His college thesis example assumes access to higher education and the luxury of extended deadlines for creative work. Many people face procrastination challenges in contexts involving economic necessity, caregiving responsibilities, or survival-focused concerns that his privileged perspective cannot adequately address. The assumption that people have control over their schedules and priorities reflects a specific socioeconomic position that may not generalize broadly. Furthermore, Urban's emphasis on productivity and achievement reflects particular cultural values that may not resonate across all communities. His framework assumes that overcoming procrastination is inherently desirable and that increased productivity represents personal improvement. However, some cultures prioritize contemplation, relationship building, and present moment awareness over future-oriented achievement, suggesting that his procrastination model may embed specific cultural assumptions about optimal human behavior. In conclusion, while Tim Urban's TED Talk provides an entertaining and accessible introduction to procrastination that resonates with many people's lived experiences, it fundamentally oversimplifies a complex psychological phenomenon in ways that may actually impede deeper understanding and effective intervention. His metaphorical framework offers valuable emotional accessibility and normalization, while simultaneously perpetuating harmful misconceptions about the nature and treatment of procrastination. The talk succeeds as popular entertainment and consciousness raising, but fails as meaningful guidance for addressing serious procrastination challenges that significantly impact people's well-being and life satisfaction. A truly helpful approach to procrastination would require integrating insights from psychology, neuroscience, sociology, and behavioral economics in ways that acknowledge both individual agency and structural constraints, while providing practical, evidence-based strategies for sustainable change rather than relying on shame-inducing visualization exercises and oversimplified internal conflict models.